IGN will totally be doing a Game of the Year and a top 10 countdown of all of the best games that came out and rank them and argue about them and all that. But, you know, while they're off doing that, we decided to just kind of put our heads together and be like, what are the games that we kind of agreed on that we really like? So this is Up at Noon's top 10 favorite games, not in order, just 10 of them in a pile.
Sure.
Let's start things out. Far Cry Primal.
Yeah. Awesome game. This is the first game I've platinumed in a while. We were sort of like worried about how this thing was going to turn out. It strips away a lot of the stuff we love from the Far Cry series, but it's so raw and visceral and still works without like a lot of the crazy HUD elements, without like your cell phone calling you, without helicopters.
Yeah.
Man, I love this game.
Yeah, Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite games. I played a lot of Far Cry 4 and was kind of let down by it because it felt so iterative on 3. If I'd never touched 4, Primal would be like one of my favorites ever. It's this weird kind of hybrid of 4 and Blood Dragon. A lot of fun. It's also the most gritty Flintstones game we've gotten ever. Moving on, Ubisoft was on a roll this year. Watch Dogs 2, we're big open world dorks. We like just going around and messing stuff up. And if you can call the cops or call animals or whatever, that's good. Watch Dogs 2 was set in our hometown, San Francisco, and yeah, just like a fun, mischievous game. That
I think fun is the good way to describe this game. And I think when you think of a lot of open world games, they're gritty and they're kind of dark, especially like the first Watch Dogs, right? Just a wet blanket of a game. But this is so much fun, laugh out loud funny at the chaos you can create. Coming up next, another one from Ubisoft, Eagle Flight, which is probably my favorite PSVR game of the year. It takes place in Paris that's overrun with animals, and it's all used head tracking to control your eagle, and you can just fly around in this open world game. It's cel-shaded, it's gorgeous. It's the perfect VR game to show to people.
That's awesome.
I love this one.
Yeah, moving on. Battlefield 1.
Damn.
I didn't think I would say this, but like I fell in love with this game. Like I am not a shooter guy, multiplayer or other. I mean, I play single player stuff, but like Battlefield 1 is fun as hell. I love the weird kind of almost kind of janky World War I tech, and just presentation-wise, it manages to be colorful and gorgeous, and just, yeah, it got me into multiplayer shooters. Like, what the hell? I mean, I guess Battlefront did, but that's Star Wars.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on, Firewatch.
Yeah.
This was, let's just get into all the indie darlings here. Firewatch is, I think, the closest I've felt finishing an indie game to being like, wow, I just played a really, really cool movie.
Yep.
Both in terms of length of time and just like how it unfolded its story.
Yep.
If you haven't already, Firewatch is it's a good time, and it's just
stunning
beautiful.
art direction, great voice acting, just a very tight, wonderful story. It really stuck with me. One of those games where I finished it and I was like, and the more I thought about it, the more I loved it.
Yeah, and there's raccoons in it too.
That's true.
The opposite of Firewatch is Oceanlisten, which was the working title for Abzu.
Yeah.
This is a kind of scuba diving journey. You love this one.
Oh man, it's such a stunning game. It sort of feels like playing a screensaver. Don't expect a ton of conflict. Don't expect a ton of like even sort of moving life lessons like Journey gave you. But what you will find here is about 3.5 hours of pure beauty and joy. It's just like, and the elation of feeling of swimming underwater in this game is great. So check this one out.
Next up, Hyper Light Drifter felt like I hate when people are like, oh, it's a love letter to blah, 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 blah. This was basically everything I loved about the Super Nintendo and like 80s, 90s anime rolled into one game. Just such beautiful sounds and just fun to look at, and like, just, yeah, it's cool. I love that world. Check that one out.
Yeah, you can play this pretty much everywhere now, right?
It's
on a bunch of platforms.
A lot of different things.
Yep.
And then the opposite of colors is what the Inside had, which was very few colors. This was kind of the spiritual successor to Limbo, which was in itself almost a perfect game. This felt like it kind of took Limbo and almost just refined it further.
Yeah, Super Limbo was the word we were kicking around here in the office for a while. I really liked this game. I didn't love it as much as everybody else did, but again, one of those situations where my gut reaction versus thinking about it a few months later, I'm so happy this thing exists. I hope it's not 7 years before we get another game from these guys.
If you've slept on any of these indies, just buy them all and just spend a weekend, because you can get through each of them in like 3 hours or whatever. It's great. Here's a weird one that's going to make everyone real mad. Pokemon Go.
Yeah, totally. So I didn't even get into this game, but the joy that it brought the people around me is insurmountable. I actually think that this is the best multiplayer game this year. And yes, the gameplay itself is simplistic, and it's like this basketball dunking simulator. But the idea of a bunch of people in the real world getting together and becoming friends, like under a bridge or at a park or in a cafe somewhere, there's nothing else that's ever been happened like this, you know? There's really no other games like this.
It's kind of a zeitgeist, you know? It's just a strange, weird cultural phenomenon. And then finally, Last Guardian.
Yep.
I haven't touched it yet, but you threw it
Yeah,
on
this
there.
is. I mean, this is one of those things. I complained about it a lot while I was playing it. The camera's bad, and the guy won't listen to me, and the controls are wonky. And then I finished it, and I was like, you know what? Like, life is kind of cumbersome, and it's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. But like, sometimes you have to climb a mountain to see a sunset.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the most impressive games I've ever played. It will stick with me for a very long time. Trico is adorable, and that boy's really cool too. And definitely play this game if you
I
can.
can't wait to get my hands on this.